Sup, everybody. I'm going to be talking today about a couple of different things, but first and foremost, I'm going to be pulling out some of my old collection and getting it ready to send off for grading. I've chosen SGC. I have a couple SGC slabs here I've really liked over the past couple of years. I think they look pretty clean. That black kind of perimeter looks a little bit more high class, I think, than the kind of blank perimeters of the CGC and PSA cards. They do a really good job of grading from what I can tell too. It's one of those things that you don't really know how good the grading company is, but there's no subscription fee. It's about $9 a card right now. I've got a lot of my old collection that I'm going to be taking out here, and we'll see what kind of quality they're in. I'm going to send the ones that I've picked out off to grade. Shadowless Gyarados in some original Dragon Shield sleeves. Let's take this out and see how it looks. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting these into just some standard penny sleeves and a Card Saver 1 to have them go off to grade. So this is a pretty clean copy. There is some edge wear, as you would expect. Back, yeah, chipping along the sides. I really have no idea what kind of grade these vintage cards will get. I noticed the pop reports on SGC are not generous with the older cards, so we'll see what it is they come back as. If I had to guess, I'd say 7 or an 8 on this, but I've never actually submitted a card for grading. I think now's a really good time to send off for grading if you are sitting on all this stuff. For me personally, I am mainly selling sealed stuff. I doubt I'll ever be selling many slabs. So for me, it's a combination of ease of transaction and how long I think I'll be holding on to them. SGC's done sports cards forever and ever, so I have no real qualms about them taking my Pokemon cards in and seeing what it is that we got. I've got a couple dozen cards to go through here. I also just want to talk about the state of the market in terms of where we're at. It seems like people are a mixture of bearish and bullish on a couple different things based on the economy, based on their personal situation, based on the fact that Scarlet and Violet isn't doing terribly, terribly well. I think that 151 is definitely changing that around. Let's see what we got on this Gyarados here. Some scratching on the hollow for sure. Back edges. These weren't stored perfectly over the years. They were in a box and varying moisture. So some scratching along the edges, some surface wear. Maybe again a 7 or an 8. I do have a couple modern cards I'm going to be sending as well. Those ones will kind of fly through here, but I haven't actually checked the quality of these older cards in forever. So these are original, like 1998 or whatever it is, Dragon Shields and top loaders. So there's not a good history here in terms of whether or not they're any good. One thing I want to talk about is what I've been buying lately. It's the last Gyarados. I've been buying a lot of Japanese sealed boxes right now. It is something where I don't know how many people follow stocks and bonds and currencies and that kind of thing, but the US dollar has never in like 30 years been stronger against the Japanese yen than it has been right now. And there's just recently a reprint wave on the V-Star Universe. There's definitely a print line across the middle, some scratching. Edges are better on this one. It's probably an 8, I'd say. We'll see though. Like I said, I really have no idea. SGC is not very generous, as I can tell on their grading. Their pop reports are small, but it's something to where, like I said, ease of transaction for me right now, and long term, I just want these stored better, more presentable. I've got some friends who collect, so maybe throwing, a gift their way here or there. My brother, something to that effect, will always be a nice little thing that I can do for somebody. So 3 copies of that. Raichu, also shadowless. But going back to what I was saying, I've picked up a large amount of Japanese boxes over the last month. I would say probably close to 40 V-Star Universe and 20 Ruler of Black Flame. There was a deal last month on Bai where you could get 10% off your Mercari order and then 50% off international shipping. That was something which I took heavy advantage of, and I also have some 151 coming as well as a Yokohama box too. I think that if you look at it from the perspective of Japanese cards right now are expensive, but the quality, especially on V-Star, was very, very good. I like being exposed to that. I think that Sword and Shield, that being the capstone of Sword and Shield, is a very good place to be in terms of having your investment dollars. The other thing to note is the last month, September 2023, there was a 50% off international shipping. So if you got up to a really efficient level, and it's not cheap, but basically like $1,500 to $2,000 American, you could get that 10% off, 50% off international shipping, and you could then be super efficient, basically getting stuff for all-time low levels. This double colorless, or is it Metal Energy first edition? First edition Metal Energy Hollow goes for a lot if you get a 10, and that's probably a 9, maybe a 10. That's a very, very clean copy. We'll see what SGC says, and I'll wait to do a reveal on the next video that I do here. But going back to where I'm putting my money right now, there's a lot of people sleeping on two things: Japanese, doing a little bit of legwork, getting stuff off Bai, Mercari, sealed boxes in particular, V-Star Universe in particular. Everyone's going gaga for 151. Looks like a great set, not gonna lie, but when people are zigging, you should be zagging. I think that people forget how loved V-Star Universe is, and 151 is kind of taking that place, but I am not hesitating on picking up V-Star right now because long history, long tail, we're going to be seeing that as one of the kind of cool kind of electric pattern on here. I can't, there's not scratch, there is maybe some scratching and some edge wear for sure, but it's not quite as bad as the like electric pattern makes it look. That could be a 9. We'll see what happens. Maybe probably more close to an 8, but like I said, first time submitting stuff, I'm going to be completely wrong. I'm sure most of this is a 7 or a 6 in all actuality, but first edition Jolteon, I like that card a lot. I pulled that back when I ran my Hydro Pump deck in the very original card game. I would go around to tournaments. I would play either the Haymaker deck with Hitmonchan or a Hydro Pump deck with Blastoise, and won a lot of tournaments and got this Jolteon probably from one of the first edition jungle boxes that whatever the store had as prizes. Next card, Haunter, first edition. This one looks pretty clean from the outside. We'll see what we got on the inside. So one thing that I'm really happy with right now is the lack of excitement in the hobby right now, other than those crazy well, that's a really clean copy. It's never been played with, so it's very nice. The centering could be better. Back looks nice though. Maybe that's a 9. Some corner dinging, but not anything crazy. Other than that, the Van Gogh Pikachu happening, I think that we're in a pretty good spot in the hobby, especially if you're picking up Paldea Evolved. I think that's a really good set, and something which a lot of people are, it's right under your nose. It's right there. I just picked up a 24-pack, a case of the 3-pack blisters with the promo card for under $200. And that is equivalent to 2 booster boxes. And that is something which those 3-pack blisters always do well in the long run. All right, now right now there's some bigger cards. I don't have any Charizards. If you're waiting to see a Charizard here, I'm not a Charizard boy. I'm a Blastoise and Venusaur guy myself. But we do have a base set Shadowless Blastoise. We have a couple of them actually. A nice looking card. Let's get out of here and see what we are actually dealing with. All right, that is a pretty decent example. Definitely see those print lines. Not much scratching on the hollow, but definitely print lines. Edges, ooh, actually kind of nice. Actually kind of nice. Centering looked decent as well. That could be a 9. We'll see what happens. Definitely could be a 9. But yeah, it's something to where I think people are sleeping on 2 things. Paldea Vault, for sure. You don't want to be sleeping on that. I think Obsidian Flames, you can take it or leave it. My personal preference is the Japanese Rule of the Black Flame. It's not as hit or miss as Obsidian Flames, although it sounds like the hit rates were very generous in Obsidian Flames. I prefer the artwork and the print quality and the price point on the Rule of the Black Flames from Japan. Right now, you can get it probably shipped for right in the range of $50 if you do a little legwork and get a couple boxes. And one more Blastoise. That is not anything where I thought we'd return to those prices. Give it a couple of years and you have a box with Charizard on it, Japanese, guaranteed to have it inside. I think people will love it. I just think that it's hard to really miss with that right now going into the future. This one, not as clean. You see some scratching on the hollow foil there for sure. We'll see what that gets back. I'm imagining that's like a 6 or a 7. That might even be worth it to send in, but we'll do it just for the encapsulation value. Definitely a binder card more so than a submission card, but that's not what we're doing today. So there's not a whole lot else in going through the market right now that I'm super bullish on. I've picked up a couple of different things. There's ways to get very inexpensive slabs nowadays at some pretty good value. So if you're interested in picking stuff up, now might be a good time to look, especially if you're into vintage. But from my perspective, I'll see if I can post a chart of it when I put the video up. But my perspective is the dollar versus the yen right now is so valuable that we can definitely get exceptionally good deals on Japanese cards right now, given a little bit of legwork. Like I said, last month was the perfect time to do that. Some corner ding, some whitening, all expected stuff with a 20-plus-year-old card, but Green Boy is going to go and get in the case. There's a couple other things that you can look at right now. It's interesting how the hobby works. Everyone goes from one hype thing to the next, and they kind of forget about the last hype thing. The easy things to pick up right now are really, truly, some of those Japanese boxes are deep value. And it's interesting looking at Mercari for Japan. They're starting to actually pivot in Japan right now to a lot of Korean boxes because the price point and all of the English scalpers and all the rules that are in place make it actually hard in Japan to that Clarendux cleaning right here. We'll see how the scratching in the backs and the sides look. But it's actually hard for them to get a consistent supply of their cards right now. So they're pivoting a little bit to Korean cards. And if you're deep in the weeds on it, you saw me open some Korean EV Heroes while it was still very inexpensive. Oh, it's got some like dirt on the back there. I'm not going to try and get that off. I'll send it in as is. Maybe you can get that off if you're more knowledgeable than I am, but I'm not going to risk scratching the card up and just leave that on there. I think I saw somebody do like a Q-tip plus like, I don't know what they had on it. Maybe they had nothing on it, just a Q-tip to try and get those dirt and dust off. Just to keep an update on how many stacks of cards we got right now. There we go. A lot of vintage stuff. We've got one more vintage card here that I'm sending in, and then we'll get into some modern stuff, or more modern stuff. Venusaur, the big chunky boy. Ooh, this one's probably the least good out of it. Out of the three Ombres. Let's see here. I like that none of them are like truly damaged. There's some of them might be considered light play. Some of them might be considered near mint. Definitely some scratching or edge wear. Oh yeah, this one's, the corners are probably, needs to focus. Focus. Okay, so there you get some views on the corners. Yeah, the edge on that is dirt on the back. That one might not even worth submitting, to be honest, because that's probably a 6 or something to that effect. So maybe I won't submit that one because it is just beat the heck up. But anyways, I'll put it back in one of these and keep it just because that is, I know that's not going to be anything worth a damn. So I can sell it at a card show in the future instead. Okay, now some modern stuff. This is a Mewtwo V-Star I pulled from a Pokemon Go box, the gold one. I really think it's a clean card. Let's see, centering. Looks good. I mean, it's a Japanese card, right? So you're just expecting a 10 right out the gate. So that's what I expect on all these. The centering looks good. No defects. This is like when the Japanese cards were especially pristine when they'd come out. I already have this, I think, in a 10 because I'm a Mewtwo and Mew fan, but it's something that I will send off anyways because I am down to have another one for sure. Next one, Armored Mewtwo. Gonna send off a pair of these that I purchased. Again, Japanese cards. Sun and Moon promo. I think it's a cool, definitely just a cool idea slash, I want to do this. The Armored Mewtwo is just a very, very interesting take on Mewtwo and how he looks and how he acts. I think it's something that is very, very cool in the long run. Let's see, back. Looks good. Centering. Centering is actually kind of off back, but it might not make a difference. I think that's just a fleck. Yep, that's fine. Maybe some edge something, but I think it's a clean copy, more or less. So we're going to send it off too. Not the most valuable card, but I think it's very, very cool in the long run. I want a couple copies of it to either trade with, again, or give as gifts. Super, super neat card for sure. And again, that Japanese quality is really, really hard to beat. Oh, where'd the other copy go? There he is. I pulled that one right out of it. There's a couple other things that I'm really bullish on right now. Oh, this one's maybe off center on the top. It's not that bad though. Very different edge borders on this one, but I like it. It's going off. There's a couple other things I want to just touch on really quick here. Is that the Sword and Shield area is going to go down as one of the best in history for Pokemon, no doubt. For me personally, I'm kind of done once I get these batches of Japanese in. I'm kind of done for a little bit. I think that I've done everything that I need to in terms of getting stuff together. Now it's kind of a waiting game here. I'm not going to bore you with, I've got a bunch of copies of the Dark Phantasma character at Pikachu. Get those in a town. I just saw a whole bunch of those come up on auction. They didn't go very well, but it's something where I think that at a card show or something like that, I'm into these guys for maybe $15 each. These guys maybe $2 each. So if I get these in some 10s, I will definitely be able to turn those around. One more modern, then we go back to some vintage. Mew V Alt Art, picked that up at a card show recently. I expect a 10 out of it. Looking at it a couple different ways, a couple different angles, a little bit thick on the bottom, a little bit. Let's see if the top matches. No, it looks pretty nice on the back. So I'm hoping for a 10 on that. If I get a 9 out of it, I'll be a little bit surprised, a little bit sad, but it's something that I don't think we're gonna have much of an issue with here. Very, very cool card. The Mew V Alt Art is really, really cool. I also have the Mew V-Star Alt Art from Fusion Strike that I picked up a card show as well. That one I'm not going to send off because I have it in a nice little magnetic case that came with it. I don't really feel the need to display it in a slab. This one here, that one, how can you not give that a 10? That looks amazing. We'll see. All right, going back to some more vintage. I picked up a vintage lot of Japanese holos, some higher end holos recently, and their condition is, if I'm being honest. They're not great, but it's something where the Mew Coral Mew looks pretty good. This Zapdos with the swirl, or maybe I don't send that one in. It's so beat up on the back there with that little kind of rip / binder tear / crimp in it. Maybe I won't send that one in because that's just a little bit beyond the pale at this point in terms of what I'm shooting for. I think it's better to have that raw and be able to sell it for, you know, 20, 30 bucks because it's got a swirl at whatever card show somebody wants to pick it up for or throw it in with. It looks really, really cool, but it's just getting it slab might not be the best because I'm not a huge Zapdos fan. I do enjoy the Electric Bird, but not as much as Mew, Mewtwo, and Blastoise. This Lugia, though, this one's definitely going. This one has some edge wear, but it's not nearly as bad. We do have the potential for this one to hit an 8, and that would be super dope. So take a closer look here. Some chipping along the top. I'm not as concerned with the front side as the back side. The back side on the older Japanese cards just shows that wear so much more. So some edge chips. I mean, honestly, it could be an 8, 8.5. We'll see. I like it, though. It's something that I think is a very, very cool card. I'm not a huge Lugia collector, but this Game Boy promo for it is a very, very neat card. I eventually want the, you know, the classic Neo Destiny. Is it Neo Destiny? Where it's like the first Lugia card, the kind of iconic one. I'd like to have a copy of that. The Japanese ones are reasonable. I just haven't really been as big a Lugia fan as other people, so I haven't gone on my way to get it. Focusing more on Mew and Pikachu and Mewtwo and so forth. Is that a print line or is it just, that's a very, very cool hollow pattern. I like how that thing kind of goes. No real scratching on the front of the card, which is nice. Yeah, if the damage is isolated to the back, I don't really have an issue. It's still worth it to send it off. Great Rocket Mewtwo. I have never had this card before, and I'm super happy to have it in my collection. I'm going to get it slabbed, and I'm going to keep it forever. Mostly is my goal here. It's just a very iconic Mewtwo. I think it looks better than like base set Mewtwo, in my opinion. Kind of in an electric dungeon. The warping of the electric lines behind him, super cool. This card, well centered, no big damage on the front. Checking out the back, I think it's a pretty clean copy. Honestly, that is a 9, maybe a 10 contender. I'd be surprised if I got a 10, but I'd be happy, obviously. So we'll sleeve that boy up in the card saver 1. And we'll see what it comes back with. All right. This card, like I showed earlier, is the one that I have wanted for a while. And I actually won 2 auctions kind of at the same time. I was humming and hawing about getting this. I'm not a big expensive card buyer, and this in like an 8 to 9 is like, it goes between 100 and 300 bucks. And I saw this copy in this lot with the other cards, the Japanese cards I've been showing you, and I was like, man, this looks pretty clean. So it was a new seller on eBay, took a risk, came in, and it is something where I think it's not too shabby. So definitely some chipping on the back there. I wouldn't consider that a bend on the edge there, but it really depends what the grader feels about it. Because I know that bends or creases really, really kill value on cards. But that little swirl near the tail, the hollow pattern, the cleanness on the front, that is a gorgeous, gorgeous card. One of my favorite cards of all time. That the story behind it too is, you know, it's a promo inside of a comic or magazine. That's just super cool. Like, I can't. We had stuff like that before with like, it was like Marvel cards and like the Onslaught card from some sort of gaming magazine back in the 90s, but we didn't have as many like cool societal integrations of Pokemon as Japan really kind of leveraged their um, social control and their social kind of equity in the 90s, like Pokemon Company did. A nice clean Moltres. I think I'll send this one off as well. Not a super valuable card, especially the Japanese cards. They're hit or miss in terms of value, especially those non-Charizard ones. Probably still send it off because I think it's slab worthy. I don't think I have this one in English, and it's a cool artwork. And again, pretty clean. Not expecting much in terms of the grade. 7, maybe. I don't know. The Articuno coming up is actually kind of pretty exciting to show off because it is more clean, I think, and has a better hollow pattern swirl than I think most examples of Japanese cards. So sorry if I'm knocking this camera around a little bit. I'll try and do a little bit better for you. Look at that swirl at the top there. That is a beautiful swirl. Classic artwork on that Articuno. Beat up on the back. Definitely a binder card. Definitely saw some humidity at some point, but it's not too shabby if I'm being honest. No bends or creases. I mean, those kind of are considered creases and bends in the lower part, but that swirl makes up for it. Again, that's something where, oh man, should I send that in or not? I mean, it's not going to get more than a 7 for sure, but it is got a beautiful hollow swirl up on there. I'll send it in. I don't have any qualms about sending it in just because I want to keep that card. I think it's that swirl is so cool. So it's going to go in. But yeah, take a look at the dollar versus the Japanese yen right now and the Korean won. We have a very, very strong dollar right now. And I know for a lot of people right now, the economy feels flimsy, but other economies are doing way, way worse. So it's we're the best in a bad neighborhood, if that makes any sense. All right, I've got 3 more cards here that are, before we get to 30 minutes, 3 more cards I'm going to be sending into the Serena full art from Silver Tempest. Pulled this, I think, on a box break of Silver Tempest when it first came out, and just a nice clean card. Don't see any reason why I wouldn't get a 10. Actually, pretty decent print quality on that. I don't think there's anything off center or anything like that about it. This is actually something which I got from a box break from Pokemart USA. He did his Diamond and Pearl box break. Very few examples of this in a 10, and this came out pretty clean. He was saying that there's a print line on it somewhere, and I don't really see it. It's just so clean. It was pack fresh. So it is a really clean example. It has a chance at a 10. And with a submission like this, where I don't even know if they have any examples of this card on file in a 10. So I don't know, but it's possible that it comes back at 10. We shall see. The corners are super clean too, which is really, really hard for Diamond and Pearl to get. And then something for you modern folks, don't sleep on how they evolve. This Iono card, I enjoy full art trainers. I'm not all about it, but this is a super clean, super simple 10 in my opinion. Maybe they'll find a way that it's off-centered a bit. I don't know, but I think it's within parameters for a 10. I looked at it, was like, oh yeah, super easy 10. As soon as I pulled it, I was like, yeah, this is a perfect copy, more or less. Maybe there's like that little left right off center, but I don't think so. Looking at it naturally, and yeah, I would say it's a 10 for sure. So that's kind of where it's at right now. I'd say if you're frustrated with the hobby, if you're not happy with where things are going, take a little bit of a break. There's not much now from the point of 151's release till Paradox Rift, and that's a set that you can probably take or leave, to be honest. So yeah, take a break, enjoy it, peruse some auctions when you're feeling like it, improve yourself, and once it comes time to hop back in, you'll be there. You'll have your feet in the pool for sure. Anyways, have a good night. Thank you for hanging out, and if you liked it, let me know. And my next video will obviously what happens when we get all of our cards back. Appreciate you guys for hanging out and listening. Have a good one.